You're looking good, Rob.
Rob's a weird dude, man. He's a strange one. How do you do this?
I don't know. It's your camera.
Because it's up here. It gets thrown out of. There we go. F4, baby. That we have a better chance of staying in focus.
Yep.
Panasonic.
I need this to be my good side, so we need to.
You know, the thing is when you do these interviews where it's like two dudes on one camera.
Yep.
I am uncomfortably close to you. Although you do smell good.
Once in a while.
Did you bathe this morning?
I did.
Did you moisturize?
I did.
You have to moisturize in Arizona. It's dry.
Oh my God, it's dry.
It's dry heat.
Yep.
Except it's dry.
You got to run those humidifiers. You got to dump water all over the floor.
Tell you what.
Tricks of the trade, man.
Got to make it happen.
You have to.
This is my man, Matt. Oh, I have to be careful with this because when Steven and I talk, we bang our hands. Steven and I are much the same, and we have nervous stuff.
Don't do that.
So when we did our interview, both of us were beating the table, and I'm positive it's on the video.
Don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, they're already commenting.
Just like chill.
Absolutely. So this is my man, Matt Beaty, who is the heir to the throne here at Hidden Light.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say, can I say that on YouTube?
You can say that on the internet.
Can I say it on Facebook?
You can say that anywhere.
Anywhere? All
Yeah.
right. So you're heir to the throne. How does that feel?
It's happening. It's going to be great.
So I met Matt last year in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the David Brookover Artist Series video, but you wouldn't recognize him because he had different hair and a
Gotta
longer
mix it
beard.
up.
He had a cowboy hat in some of it. He
Yep.
made me buy a hat.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
make you. I helped you.
No, you looked so cool.
That's what it was. I'm the epitome of cool, and we all know it.
I had to be in on the cool too.
Laugh
So
texts
anyway,
are so cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt is a badass, one, but he's also a really good printer. No, you really are. And the thing about you that's really cool is that your specialty, your thing, is platinum palladium, which most people at your age,
I've never heard of.
You're only a year younger than me, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That most people, we live in the digital age. Inkjet printers, everything's easy. You hit a button, you say print, you eat a sandwich, you're done, hanging on the wall.
That's exactly
not what you do.
No, that's not what I do. Printing platinum palladium is like really taking it back. So now it's a mixture of digital and analog. Back in the olden days, you'd take your 11 by 14 view camera and you'd go out and shoot glass plates, and then you'd make palladium prints. And not many people are shooting glass plate 11 by 14 cameras,
No,
anymore.
not now.
Yeah, people do it, but
well, but it's interesting though, and important to note, and most people, their reference. I think a lot of people who have a little bit of reference of printing, like analog papers and chemicals, is silver gelatin.
Right.
And which typically you can use an enlarger. That's
Yep.
the traditional way to make like your 35 millimeter negative blow up to 16 by 20 or whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Platinum palladium is a contact process. So
Right.
when he said 1114, like the camera back there, that's blurry behind us.
Yep.
It's bigger than 1114 actually. It's 24 by something, I think.
No, that's 11 by 14.
1114? Okay.
Yep.
So the negative is as big as the back of the camera. So it's the size of the final print. So
Right.
literally contact means you stick it on the paper,
Yeah.
hit it with light.
And
And there's no enlarging.
In the good old days, the only way to get a good size print was to have a huge negative. Like if you wanted 11 by 14 print, you shot an 11 by 14 negative. And now with digital, we don't really have to do that. We can take your digital files, print a new negative that's a full-size contact negative, and then place it directly in contact with the paper under UV light and make a print.
So you can take a photo with your iPhone essentially.
I have made Palladium prints for my phone photos.
And take
it's
really
totally
awesome
cool.
prints.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
I mean,
Actually,
we made a Palladium print from your JPEG.
Can I show 'em?
Yeah, do it.
Hold on.
Don't go anywhere.
It's a Slack video. I need my La Croix too. It's dry
You
here.
gotta, dude, it is dry. You gotta have it.
I like how you just sit there stoic while I'm gone.
Just like, what am I going to talk about to the camera? They don't want
Dude,
to hear me talk.
you are natural.
Not sure.
You are the new Casey Neistat of the printing.
I hope not. Here, flip that around.
Well, should we start with the phone? All right, so here's what happened. This will be in the other video, so they've either already seen it or they're going to see it.
Perfect.
So Matt comes up to me yesterday and we're trying to decide cool stuff that we can do while I'm here, and he said, hey, well, you texted me the night before and you're like, why don't you make a print start to finish? And I'm like, that's a horrible idea because I
That's
will
a great
botch
idea.
it. Well, I didn't realize you meant you would supervise me.
Well,
Thank
yeah.
God.
And that's one of the things that we do. Like, our clients come in and it's like, you can get your hands dirty, you can do the coding, the brushing, or you can let me do it, and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
But it was cool to watch you, like, get into it, and you
Was
got your
fun.
brushstroke technique down really well, and it was
Well,
great.
okay, let me be fair in saying this too, because platinum palladium is something I'm a huge Irving Penn nerd.
Totally.
Love Penn.
You have to be.
Oh, you have to be. He was one of the, and he's kind of one of the guys that popularized, because platinum palladium went away during the war because of the metal involved with the chemistry, right?
Right.
And so it was kind of, nobody was doing it after World War II, but Penn brought it back.
Right. It was commercially available paper. You could buy pre-coated platinum palladium before World War One, and then as soon as they realized that platinum was a catalyst for explosions, you couldn't buy it anymore because the government bought all of it.
We need to blow things up.
And it was it's just like no prints. Let's go blow stuff up.
Right.
And I'm about that, but
Hey, I'm
making
all
prints
about
is great. So now instead of getting the commercially available paper, you got to hand coat it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So anyway, so he tells me, he said, hey, we're going to make one. He said, do you have anything? And I'm like, well, I really didn't bring any images. But I'm like, wait a minute. I put some stuff on Dropbox because, on my Instagram account. So we picked a couple, but that was the one. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen it because it went up like last week. And he's like, dude, let's do it. And I'm like, really? And so I like, it was a JPEG in Dropbox that was 2,000 pixels by 2,000 pixels. I'm like, is that big enough?
It's perfect.
For a small one.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
I sent it to him. Emailed it, and then, is this the right side?
Yep.
This right side.
No, other way.
Other way.
That's the emulsion side.
Well,
So that way they can actually see it.
I'll link up to the other video somewhere in here,
Yeah.
so you can see the whole thing, because I actually have B-roll of you on the computer.
Doing it.
Photoshop.
Nice.
Yeah, and here's the deal, and this is like, you don't just throw it into Photoshop, make a negative, or invert it, and then print it. There's a little more to it than that. You know what you're looking for, what the final print's going to do, right?
Usually, yeah.
So you know when something's going to be too black or too blown.
Right.
Because you do a lot of these.
Right, yeah. It's just like with any printing process or with any, when you're out shooting portraits, you know when the light is going to be too harsh or too whatever. And it's just like, you get familiar with it.
So, then you invert it.
Right.
After a little bit of editing, a little bit of spotting, a little bit of pulling junk out.
Yep.
And then it's printed out, and we did a rip on this. And this is it. So this is your contact print. So this is the equivalent of the 11 by 17 negative, except it's like 10 by 10 or whatever we're doing here.
That's 10 by 10, yeah.
10 by 10.
Good, easy size.
Yeah, so then the next thing we did was we went and got the paper, which you can use anything that will take the palladium, really. You have papers you like to use.
Yeah, I have like 6 or 8 papers that I use. The problem is...
They're not designed to be photographic paper, though, right?
No, they're designed to withstand a lot of time in water.
Gotcha.
That's the most critical thing, is will it sit in the water and will it accept the chemistry? So you can use a lot of weird papers, yeah.
That's cool, though. I mean, you have options, but so you're not, So this is what we did. Not to use a paintbrush, and painted this palladium, actually.
Yep, this is pure palladium.
Pure palladium, no platinum in this. But I painted, you can see the brush strokes where you got painted on. And then basically what you do is let that dry. This goes over this. And then we expose it to UV light, etc. And then finally we have this awesome print after some rinsing.
Yeah, rinsing and clearing and all
This was so much fun.
Yeah, it's a fun process.
It was really a lot of fun.
And it's not all that hard to do at this size. Like, you can buy a kit to do this yourself in your backyard as long as you have sunlight.
Yeah.
And, like, you don't need a dark room. You don't need a lot of specialized equipment. It's when you go big that it gets really difficult. It's like anybody can shoot 35 millimeter or even 120, but when you do 11 by 14, it gets hard.
You're not
same, right. It's the same
can,
basic principle. Right.
Bigger is more involved.
Yes.
This is interesting, because how big do you go? Like, what's the biggest prints you've done?
Right now I'm limited by the size of the paper that I get, which is 42 inches on the long edge.
That's big.
Which is really
big.
I think we're one of only a handful of labs that are doing that in the world.
Yeah.
And we actually have one or two that maybe we could just,
Yeah, we
toss
did,
in
because
there.
I had the B-roll on the one, because you had a big one, and you talked about this in David's Artist Series video,
Right.
But there is a technique, when you actually, after you've created the latent image, you've got the exposure on the palladium, and then you put the developer on it to turn it.
It develops almost instantly. And if you
it's-
if you don't get your technique right, you screw it up and you get big streaks and horrible things.
Yeah, because silver gelatin, you have it in the developer, and it kind of comes up.
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes, and you like take your
it's
time
mellow.
and mellow out some house music in the background. Platinum Palladium's like fast twitch printing.
Yeah, you were good. You were like, gotta psych myself up.
You do. You gotta like, that's exactly it.
It was cool. But I did this one. I thought I'd mess it up.
No, you killed it.
You made me
The little
nervous.
ones are easy.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. It's an amazing process, but that's what you guys do here, because you're near the school. So you could potentially have students that want to say, hey, I want to learn this, and come over and pay you guys for some lab time. Do you do that ever?
Yeah, there's actually an alternative process class at NAU, and we had their instructor in here, and I was walking him through it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he goes and teaches the class so that they don't have to bring everybody in here.
Yeah.
Because our building's
But that's
not big
what
enough.
cuts you guys apart. I mean, it's a lab where you can come in and be hands-on. You can learn.
Yep.
You can
And
be involved in the process. You
and
can
that's-
drive Matt crazy with changes.
Absolutely, that's the whole point.
He loves it?
No, I do, because my job, and I talked about this in the artist
handle it
series,
well, yeah.
is just to execute your vision. And so if you didn't like how warm the print was, you didn't like the contrast ratio, my job is to take care of the technical stuff.
Yeah.
So that your print comes out the way looking that you want it to look.
Well, and it came out exactly how I wanted it to look.
Looks
I mean,
really
I'm not
good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that was the cool thing. Is like I've seen enough platinum palladiums, and knowing that image, I kind of knew, okay, it's
Where
going to
it's
look a
gonna
certain,
go,
yeah.
right. Yep,
And I knew
yep.
you could get it there. And so, like, we're eating lunch, and he comes out and he says, "Do you want it to be warm or neutral?" I said, "I'm thinking warm." And he's like, "I am too." And I asked you later, that had to do with the temperature of the developer, right?
Right.
So the higher the temperature, the warmer. Is that right?
Yeah,
The
to
other
a
way.
certain point.
Okay.
Higher the temperature of the developer, like David's work, you'll notice is really warm in platinum
Yeah.
palladium, and it's because we use extremely warm developer. It's like 130 plus degrees.
Always
Fahrenheit
though, right?
For all of David's work.
Yeah, and so it's consistent. So
Yep.
yeah, that's
Right.
cool.
And then for most people, or for a lot of people, you do it closer to room temperature or 90 degrees or something like that.
That's
And
awesome.
you get a much more neutral tone out of
How
it.
did you get into platinum? Did you just like see it and said?
I started
"Hey"?
working here as a framer.
Yeah.
And the guy who taught me, Corey Allen, who's been doing platinum plating for whatever 10 years,
doing
and I was just kind of like, "Can I learn? Like, you want to teach me?" And he's like, "Yeah, but you got to pay for the material when you screw it up."
Oh.
No, he didn't say that. He should have. I screwed up a lot.
And it's not cheap when you're doing, especially when you're doing big
It's
stuff.
not cheap. They're noble
Yeah.
metals, and the pieces of paper alone.
The paper's
are expensive.
nice, yeah.
It's just like, okay, like I'm gonna go screw a bunch of these up. I've screwed up a bunch of Davids, and that's how you learn, is by messing it up.
Well, but and here's the cool thing, because like you did some stuff that I've never seen anyone do, and I'll put these over the top. But like so after we filmed Artist Series, the original plan was I was going to come to Arizona, and then I got really busy editing like all those videos, and it just didn't work out schedule wise.
Right.
But you guys did some of David's tabletop stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you were doing so you paint this emulsion on literally with a paintbrush.
Right.
So the application of that emulsion to the paper can be a different technique. So you did some stuff where you spun it.
Yep.
Talk
Yeah,
about
we-
that.
we-
Like, how did that idea come up? I mean, did
We-
David come up with that, or were you like,
Yeah,
hey, let's
David
try
was
something?
looking to do something different, and kind of said, "Okay, free reign. If you guys got to do whatever you wanted, what would you do?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Let's do some weird coding." And so David's got a big background, as you may know, in everything Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out and got some really cool Japanese brushes and started messing with that. And then we built a 3-foot or a 2-foot, whatever it is, Lazy Susan, so that we could apply the chemistry and then someone could rotate it so that you got a really even circle of chemistry application. And there was all kinds of weird stuff.
And then it
we
had
did.
that like beautiful brush stroke right
That
on the edge.
one last one.
Oh,
that's the
it's
hardest.
so awesome.
And
Yeah.
you're just using so much material to try and get it right, and we just screw it up and screw it up and screw it up, and then you get one, and it's like, not only is the image impossible to replicate because the process is really difficult and whatever, but you're never going to get the circle to look the same.
No.
You're never going to get the same two brush
Every
strokes.
print would be unique,
Right.
and you'd mess a lot of them up. And
Yeah, which is great.
some of
That's
them are
how
less.
you learn.
But it was very like the aesthetic was very Japanese in a way.
Yeah, it was.
And it was because one of them had the wide brush strokes.
Yep.
With it was an orchid or something that was coming up through the top, and
Yep.
the other one was and it was phenomenal. It was
They're
just
really fun.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And then did you see the one with the splatter?
Yes.
That was like, okay, we have to try one of these. Like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna paint the emulsion, like we might as well just
Jackson Pollock has to come back.
all over the paper and see what happens.
It's awesome though, but that kind of like experimentation. I mean, I think that what little I know, and there aren't a lot of guys around anymore. A lot of labs are closing down. It's not like every city has 3 or 4 labs that compete with one another. I mean, those days are over.
Yeah, it's done.
But there's a conservatism, I think, within that craft. And this is what I really like about what you do and what your whole lab does, and that you're willing to experiment and try something new. It's not going to be, we're doing platinum palladium the way we've always done it. Coat the paper, do the square,
Right.
You're willing to let's do something crazy.
Well, yeah, we want to have fun and we want to do something different. We want to help. It's not like bleeding edge. It's not like rocket surgery or whatever. But
No,
if
but
we
it's
can
pretty cool.
experiment and mess with things and try a different, execute a different vision, then we are down.
I think that's something awesome.
And
yeah.
we're going to do it as many times as it takes to get it right.
Yeah.
And that's you send a picture off to to get a metal print made or whatever, and they print it and they send it to you, and you get what you get. There's no the proofing and whatever, they don't do that anymore
Right.
the same way that they used to. And now it's just like, okay, I'm gonna make 10 of these, and we'll pick the one that's the best, and then we'll make it bigger.
Hey, but you just put the time and effort into it.
You're right.
It's a good way to do it.
Absolutely, you want to get it right.
Yeah. I asked you this yesterday, but I'm asking you again. Do you have time to shoot it all these days? Like, what do you do? What's your personal work? I mean, is it kind of like the busman's holiday because you're in here 8 hours a day, 7 days a week?
No, I like to shoot. So I have a background in sports. I did a lot of sports and stuff. Paid my way through college
Right.
doing that, and then decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So I shoot Micro Four Thirds digital stuff,
Yeah.
and I usually print that in piezography.
Nice.
And then I'm shooting on a 4x5 speed graphic. I'm doing a series that's sort of a long-term personal project.
That's awesome.
And I print that in platinum palladium.
Very cool.
Just, just like, I got a couple hours, like, maybe I'll mess with my own stuff today.
Yeah, I mean, it's
fun.
How can you not? You know what I
Right.
mean? But it's interesting because, like, I mean, I don't do this, but you do. You work with some of the best people in the business, like David and other people that come in here. And so you're working on some really cool stuff. And that's awesome, though, that you have that access to it. And
Right. It's like if I need to make a print for myself or to give as a gift, I can just make it.
Yeah,
I don't have
and
to-
you got the...
Right.
Yeah, and it's for you. You do it every day. So it's like, here, I'm just going to...
Yeah, I can usually pretty easily just snap one out. Like it goes pretty quick.
Awesome. Dude, this has been fun. This trip, I've been here for this is day 4, and I'm about to leave actually, like in a minute. I know, like you said.
So sad.
I'll be back though.
You will.
Because we got to do more. I mean, that's kind of the thing. You come out here and I kind of like capture what's going on in video, and we all do some stuff, and then I see what it is, and it's like, okay, I got to come back because we got to do X, Y, and Z, and we got to get out into Arizona and do cool stuff. And yeah, and then you guys need time off. I got to be here over a weekend, and I got to do,
Yeah.
So it's
There's
all
a lot of that.
Yeah, but I swear, the last 4 days, it feels like this trip has been 20 minutes long. It's been like,
Yep.
yeah, time for
It
another
helps when
drink.
you
Go
spend,
sleep. Back.
it helps when you spend time in the dark rooms. Time does different things in a dark room.
They've gone slower for you than it did for me.
Well, no, it's
I've been
just
out here.
different. That's all.
Yeah, it is. It's zen, and you guys. I mean, at this point, they've probably seen the walkthrough video, but this is a really cool facility. There's technically, is it just 2 dark rooms or 3?
Technically, it's 3, but really,
Yeah,
we only
but the
use
middle
2.
one is right.
There are 2 middle rooms that are a paper storage room and then a washroom, basically.
Yeah, and the whole thing's diagonal. I mean, it's a cool space.
Yeah. It's a really fun design.
But yeah.
And you got different music going in each dark room in each space. So
Yeah, totally.
it's a cacophony of.
I can get anything with Taylor. We got to do him next time. This
Yeah.
gives me a reason to come back. Taylor's
Yeah.
the silver gelatin guy.
Yeah.
And he's pretty awesome.
And he's
too.
been doing most of the work this week, so
I know,
everything's
right?
been silver gelatin.
He's getting beat over the
He
head.
does an incredible job with it.
He does.
And it's really good. We're very lucky to have him.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like I think some of the problems they had to do with the substrate and the dust that got in there. And so, like, watching them and how frustrated they were because they got some really great work, but then there's some little technical detail that out of their control.
Right.
That just like
That's the problem. I almost wish it was stuff that was my fault.
Yeah, because then
it's
you
like,
can fix it.
I can own it and I can fix it, and that's fine.
Right,
But
yeah.
if it's like there's nothing I can do about X, Y, and Z, we just got to make more.
Well, and actually, let me get your take on this, because one of the things I've noticed, and I've heard a lot of photographers talk about this, and a lot of like fine art photographers that used to do a lot of film process. Tom Burrell was one of them, just like went digital after a while. Can't beat him, join him. And Tom used to print from Maplethorpe, and he said the problem that he had is that, and this was a good 10 years ago when I got to talk to him, he said this, but 15 maybe, that the consistency of the chemicals, the consistency of the papers, it's all over the place.
It is.
And so you get one batch of paper that's going to behave differently, the same,
Same emulsion,
whatever it is, same emulsion,
everything.
same brand, and
Right. And we
Completely
take
different.
care of as many of the variables as we can, but some days it's just different. Your exposure will be different by 5 or 6 seconds, or you'll have
It's
to keep it in the developer a little bit longer, or you'll have to do whatever. And that's I mean, with platinum palladium, you expect that, and nothing's ever
Yeah.
the same. It's just like, oh, let's see what today's looking like. Is today a 10-minute exposure or a 45-minute exposure? Because there's no way of knowing.
we'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
What mood is it in?
It is, and
Yeah.
it can hear you. You gotta like
What-
make your
what is
peace
the-
with the print gods before you start doing it.
Right. But I mean, what I guess the only way to combat that is just know there's going to be mistakes, and so you're going to go
Right.
through more paper. You're going to.
And we try to proof small and get the process dialed in
Sure.
before you go big.
Yeah.
And we hard proof everything.
Yeah.
So you don't just like,
There's
oh,
a
I
whole
know
stack
I
of
know what
proofing
this is
of it.
going to look like. It's like, no, we're going to try this for 4 or 5 times before we know what it's going to look like.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
just part of the deal.
That's something we should do real quick before you leave.
Let's do it.
We got to rip up a bunch of those proofs.
You need help ripping them up.
Yeah.
All right. We'll put them on camera. We'll close out with that.
There you go.
All right,
'Cause they
Matt.
can't-
Because they
Thank you,
can't.
sir.
I just interrupted you.
It's fine.
You know what happens
I'm not
when-
saying anything interesting.
This interviewer sucks. Is what I'm going to get.
Screw this guy.
Was he got to be somewhere? Actually, yeah.
Actually, yeah, you got to catch a plane.
Well, yeah, I got to go drive to Phoenix first. You never want to drive to Phoenix. Well, some people do.
It's not a terrible drive.
It's a beautiful drive, actually.
Yeah, I like it.
But
Until you get to Phoenix.
yeah,
Sorry, people in Phoenix.
it's all right. I just got to go to the airport and go home.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna come back. So
Yeah.
that's the way I'm gonna look at it. It's part 1. All right, dude. Boom.
Word.
Later.
Can all go. Can all go? Want to do some? Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice big print at the end of the day. It's just gotta go. Oh, yep. Gotta go. this is a nice one. This feel like a good gift for my mom or something.
That's why you gotta tear these up.
Exactly. You don't want people digging through our trash and finding